Well, I was proven wrong. I thought that if Jake Paul landed a right hand on Tommy clean, he'd be out, and it turns out he just didn't land a real significant clean shot really the entire fight. Tommy's defense was on point, and he was able to counter and actually outbox Jake while being pressured by Jake the whole fight. Now, what's interesting is Jake Paul said this.
Is Jake Paul a boxer if he loses to a fighter like Tommy Fury? The way you've described him, he's got no real competition on his record. This is the boxing hurdle that you need to clear. If you don't clear it, is it true that you're just a celebrity?
That would be correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In this clip, Jake Paul is saying he's not a real boxer if he loses, and Jake Paul lost. He is saying himself he doesn't deserve to be called a professional boxer. Everyone told him to beat a real boxer, and he just couldn't. There's a huge problem with Jake Paul. He's no longer undefeated, and actually the bigger problem lies with his boxing, and if he's actually good. So let's take a look at the fight and see where the problem lies with Jake. In the opening, Jake and Tommy were really feeling each other out, like quite literally. One thing that stood out to me was when Jake Paul jabs to the body, he leaves his entire face open while sticking his other arm in the air. This leaves him extremely exposed and vulnerable to an uppercut, and this later is exploited by Tommy. Jake Paul gets hit with a triple jab, and again Jake Paul is not good under pressure and takes all 3 jabs. Jake attempts to throw an overhand right and misses. Again, the amount he leaves himself exposed is dangerous. This is one of the reasons he got picked apart. There are fundamentals which Jake hasn't cracked just yet. So the main thing that stood out for me this round and in the opening in general was him looking away and leaving himself open. Tommy capitalized on this and did not let him go easily. Later on, Tommy kept that jab going and then followed up from time to time. These rights did land and kept Jake away for the time being. Jake kept control of the center, but when Jake launched any sort of attack, this is where things went south. Jake went in and Tommy hit him with a combination while being cornered. This was in round 2. He used Jake's body weight to maneuver himself out. Jake landed a few shots in the round 2, but nothing significant with Tommy Fury taking this round. In round 3, Jake did start to push the pace a bit, tried to land a big right, but Tommy nicely moved out the way. Jake Paul's main problem has consistently shown so far. He uses a select few punches, a left, straight or hook, which he uses as a way of possibly following up with a bigger attack, a right hand which he telegraphs and usually misses, and a body jab, which is again very easily exploited. He's very reliant on just these punches, and it's not great when you've got this in your arsenal against someone like Tommy Fury, who likes to hit a lot of combinations. Jake maybe just took this round, but it's looking rough. Jake gets hit early with a good combination by Tommy in this round and doesn't throw any counter, instead curling into a ball which puts Tommy in the lead on point. Tommy pushes the pace and Jake doesn't know what to do, puts his hands up and takes it. No head movement at all, and this is very bad because Tommy Fury can plan where to throw the next punch, and the punches just keep on coming, and this is because Jake Paul is very predictable as to where his head is going to be. It doesn't seem like Jake Paul has much of a game plan either. In round 5, Jake Paul goes in for a huge right hand which Tommy simply moves out the way of and hits a nicely placed uppercut. This is what I mean when I say this is the first time Jake is facing someone where they can really capitalize on his weaknesses. Jake gets 1 point deducted for clinching. Jake only really hits a nice jab in this round, and apart from that, Tommy continues to land combinations. Jake Paul has been really flat this fight so far and hasn't really shown anything special. He's been doing the same few attacks and Tommy Fury has been able to nicely counter them. In round 6, Jake Paul lets his guard down and is hit with a big right hand by Tommy on the ropes. One thing Jake does have is a good chin. I'm not going to keep going through all the rounds, but Jake Paul lands a knockdown in round 8. It wasn't a very impressive knockdown, it was pretty much a jab. Right before this knockdown happened, Jake Paul did a very wild punch which he missed, and if it was a better boxer than Tommy, Jake would have been in some serious trouble here. And then the fight ends with most of us thinking Tommy won, and he did. For some reason the judge gave it to Jake, but anyway, Jake Paul showed a lot of weaknesses. His body jab leads to him looking at the canvas instead of up at his opponent, with his arm randomly flinging up. This is the perfect opportunity for Tommy to hit an uppercut, and he did. His right hook is his power shot, and he really bets on this punch to get him the win, but he also really winds this shot up, and Tommy easily evades it by springing onto his back foot and backing off. Combinations always lead to a drop in the guard, and Tommy, being quick and accurate, lands in the gaps and gains points, while Jake tries to launch another attack. Jake didn't really have a game plan, and Tommy exploited this. He was very flat-footed and was easily caught in this fight, and I think he did a better performance against Anderson Silva. Jake Paul has a huge problem now. His weaknesses are prominent, and there are a lot of them. He's lost to a boxer. After many criticisms that he hasn't fought one, now he has, and he's lost. Now he has to rebuild his name after proving he's just a YouTube boxer, and he wants to fight Canelo. Okay.